Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. In this video, I'm going to do something fun. I'm going to show you a live stream that I did about a year and a half ago when Bitcoin crashed to its low of 3,100 and was recovering back up. And in this stream, Bitcoin was right at 5,000, and I was talking about how at the end of this bull run, we will see 200,000 for Bitcoin. So imagine that, right? Like even right now with Bitcoin being at 23, 24,000, people have a hard time believing that it can go to 200,000. But imagine when I was saying it when Bitcoin was recovering up from 3,000 at 5,000 mark. So what's interesting about this video is what I was showing and saying back then is exactly the same as what I'm showing and saying now. The message has not changed. Take a look and then let me share with you my final thoughts. Again for Bitcoin and crypto news. And today, we're right back up to 5,000 once again. The overall theme will be why Bitcoin will reach $200,000 in the next bull run, which seems very far-fetched. I know it seems far-fetched. We're barely above 5,000. Why am I talking about 200,000? Because it's a good reminder of what's to come, and people that are still sitting on the sidelines waiting for bottom, waiting for a 40% drop, waiting for 1,300, well, they're gonna be left out. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Today is gonna be a good one. I'm gonna show you a lot of data that points to why we are heading up. I got bored today. Started looking at BTC and all its past pumps. Okay, now at the very beginning, this only goes back as far as 2010, right? So it didn't start charting when Bitcoin came out in 2008, 2009, but whatever. So there's a couple big jumps. Bitcoin going from 72 cents all the way up to about $20, right? I wish I could buy Bitcoin at 72 cents. Now the next one, obviously you see a big dive, right? The next one, we went up 7,600%. I actually drew that wrong. More like this, 89,000%. Or no, 8,900%. So we went from $2 all the way up to $189. Okay, so that is pretty significant. And then we had a smaller one, really small one, and we kind of came down and we went up a measly 1,300%. All right, measly. And then the next one that we experienced, most of us experienced, right? In 2017, when most people got dragged in, BTC went from a low of about $171, obviously up to the almost 20,000, right? And look at the percent, 12,000%, okay? 12,000%. That is what we experienced. Now think about that. All right, so now this is where we are, right? We came back down. Obviously, we saw 85% drop from highs, which is comparable to the previous times that we fell. I mean, it's like almost on the spot, right? So I'm like, okay, so what if we drag this out, right? What if look at how fast this goes, right? So I was being more conservative and I just drew this out, and I just only drew this out to 8,700. But really, this could go a lot more. Let's say we draw this out to the same, 12,000%. What are we looking at? We're looking at going from where we are now to $400,000 if we experience the same kind of parabolic gains. And this is being conservative. Look at that versus what we had before, right? So this is actually dragged out at a longer scale. And you know what? 200,000 is only the really beginning of the next bull run. I mean, it could go much higher than that. We could be seeing 400,000 during the next bull run, right? So that is if we follow the same growth, right? 12,000%. But who's to say we can't even experience more than that with all the institutional investors trying to get in, right? So this is the reason why you guys want to stay in it. Even if we don't go anywhere close to 14,000, right? Let's just, I don't know, conservatively, let's go 6,000, right? 6,000 would put us right at 200,000. So even if we went up just only 6,000 from where we are, that is 200,000 Bitcoin, right? And that's being conservative, honestly. So this is the reason why This is the reason why I'm in it for long haul, right? And when I say long haul, we're talking about just years. We're not waiting decades, 30 years, 50 years. No. With Bitcoin, I think people are still disbelief in terms of how high it could go. And that's because we just came off a 2-year bear market, right? So I get that. But think about it. Really think about it. You have a currency slash commodity slash technology that has a finite supply, which nothing else has. And they introduced blockchain, which is something that everyone is looking into. Plus, Bitcoin itself, a lot of people are poising it to become the digital currency of the world, right? And if it truly gets adopted, think about all those things added together, which is why Bitcoin will continue to go up, which is why it's going to have a very bright future. Think about it. There's 21 million. That's 21 million Bitcoins ever that's going to be mined, right? And we're at, where are we at? We're at 17.6 million. And out of that, 5, 6, 7 million has been lost. So that means in circulation right now, there's roughly 10 million Bitcoins. What's the population of Earth these days? 8, 9 billion? So think about that, right? If it truly gets adopted and everyone's starting using Bitcoin, think about how scarce it's going to be. And everyone's going to be basically trying to hoard as much as possible in the future, which is why I think it's going to become the ultimate store of value. The ultimate store of value. Nothing will beat it. And that's why I'm going to be hoarding and accumulating as many as I can. If I remove the number, remove 5,000 and replace it with 24,000, it would sound like what I'm saying today, right? Basically, the 4-year cycle, right? I show you guys that now, but back then, the chart was a little bit different, but I was, doing the comparison with our current 4-year cycle and the last 4-year cycle, and you know what? It was basically mimicking it, right? And also all the things I've said about scarcity, about adoption among institutions and enterprise companies, right? I even mentioned about PayPal back then, and also Visa, MasterCard. And ultimately, my point was to focus long-term, right? Ignore short-term volatility, basically focus on the long-term, buy what you can, right? Because it's going to be the greatest store of value ever in human history. And that message is still the same, and I still believe in that. And hopefully you guys still do too. All right, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. And while you're waiting for my next video, check out these 2 other ones.